This is part 1 on the lecture over role transition from the LPN to the RN. We start with role development and transition. We all have many roles in life. Mother, father, sister, brother, son, friend, caregiver. And in a role, we all have a specific function or expectation, which then leads to role development. And we all have and will continue to experience a role change. Becoming a parent, becoming a grandparent, becoming an in-law, going from a registered nurse, caring for patients, to a nurse educator. So when a role change occurs, you also see a role transition, which that's something you all are doing as well, transitioning from the LPN to the RN role. And with this transition, it will have an impact on how you view yourself. It can be stressful, especially with a major role change. So some types of roles that we have are ascribed and acquired. Ascribed are not chosen by us at all. That would be our genetic roles related to gender, your age, your birth order. Are you the firstborn, only child, middle child? Your social milieu. This is how you grow up. Your family traditions. Did you go to church on Sunday and Wednesday? Were you active in the community? And your acquired roles are the ones that are chosen throughout your life. Now, your personal roles, they vary depending on the people that you're with. So, you're with your kids, you're one way. You're with your parents, you may act another way. At work, with your coworkers, say you get together every week for dinner, you're different there than probably you are in the workplace. But then your societal roles, that would be your social group involvement. Are you involved with like the VFW or the Eagles, the Moose Lodge, maybe some volunteer activities? Do you help at a soup kitchen, the United Way? Are you on an adult athletic activity like a baseball, softball league, or a basketball league? And then, of course, your professional roles, that's in the workplace. But it would also include involvement in professional organizations or maybe committees at work, like a quality assurance committee. A couple of professional organizations would be like the Ohio Nurses Association, the American Nurses Association, just to name a few. So within role development, we do have role choice. So when we think of, okay, we're changing roles, it's important to then prioritize what we are going to do, such as creating a work life, school life, kid life, significant other life, balance. Those things are a choice. Staying committed to this role choice, communicating with your peers in class, asking questions, communicating with your instructors. Reaching out for guidance early on rather than, waiting till the end of the semester when it's just a little too late. And barriers, those could be internal. You're not feeling very confident. So, you just, like I say, fake it till you make it. Until you feel confident, you are confident. And then, of course, external barriers, that includes what we're trying to balance with work, family, and life. So we have some theorists that have developed some stages of role development, role socialization, and attitudinal change. So Cohen is our first one. He has 4 stages of the professional role development. And with each of his stage, the student gains more understanding of the professional role and the expectations. So the first stage is unilateral dependence. The second is negative independence. The third is dependence, mutuality. And then the fourth is interdependence. Then Henshaw, he has 3 stages of professional role socialization. So in his first stage, the student has a role expectation. Well, it changes to the one taught rather than the one that they had anticipated was going to happen. The second stage, the student starts to attach to a role model or role models. And they might start having some unexpected situations occur in the stage 2. Then stage 3, the student has a clear understanding of the role differences, and they start taking on the professional standards that we have in nursing. Then Kleeman, he also has 3 stages. His is attitudinal change, so changing their attitude. The first stage is compliance, being compliant with the behavior that's expected. The second, identification. This would be when they choose a role model as well. And then 3 is internalization. So the professional standards, again, they are accepted and internalized. So Henshaw and Kleeman have pretty similar theories for role development. So then the process of role transition. So we have our phase 1, ending, losing, letting go. You are now in the RN student role. You take with you all of your experience, your knowledge as an LPN. You start to see the professional nurse role as you progress throughout the program. Though you still might have some mixed feelings, you might feel some disengagement, disidentification, who you are, disenchantment. This is not what I thought it was going to be. Disorientation. Is it really like this? I'm okay. And then phase 2, your neutral zone. Here you may feel kind of at a loss. You might start having a change in perspective. And then you might start to see that you're changing your view of professional nursing. And then phase 3 is the new beginning. Here's where you feel like a mix. You feel like the old you and the new you all in one. And the progress from stage to stage or phase to phase, that is going to be individualized. Role conflict. When does role conflict occur? When one has multiple roles that are not agreeing with each other. And we've all been there and still deal with it from time to time. Is there enough time to go to work, run child number 1 to baseball, child number 2 to softball, pay the bills, study, spend time with the partner, take care of things around the house, visit mom and dad, visit best friend. List goes on and is so varied from person to person. But when you don't have time to do everything that you want and need to do, that's when you start feeling overwhelmed and you have role stress. If things don't get resolved, then it leads to role strain, where you might start feeling angry, anxious, irritable. You're trying to figure it all out and you're done. So I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. I'm done. So how do we resolve role conflict? Well, we can try avoidance. But honestly, it's not getting anything resolved. You're just putting it off, putting off the inevitable. You can compromise, ask for help in areas where help is available. As long as everyone does what they say they're going to do, then that will resolve the conflict. Accommodation may work. You have help, someone's willing to help. The neighbor said, hey, yeah, I'll help. I'll watch kid number 1 for you for a while after work. They'll do it, but just as long as there's no resentment involved, there's no role conflict. Competition. This would be more in a group setting. So if one person's in charge of the group, as long as everyone agrees to work together and they agree with the person in charge, there's no power struggle and everything works. Now, this may be a carpooling group. Maybe you've got a carpool going. One person sets up the carpool, as long as everyone agrees, okay, we can do it that way. Collaboration with everyone involved in making a group decision. Collaboration works well as long as everyone agrees.